it's hard to sleep with one eye open. Most of us only do it when we are in a strange place, or if we have something valuable nearby that we are worried might get stolen. But there is someone who has to live like this every single night. This person can't even keep both eyes closed during the day. He lives in a world where he is never allowed to be completely relaxed. In today's video, we will tell you the story of a guy who sees a creature that watches him while he sleeps every night. The hero of our story is a 28-year-old young man named Jamie from Liverpool. Like all of us, he led an ordinary life. He worked as a bricklayer and had no reason to think that his life was somehow connected with the supernatural. One night, Jamie couldn't sleep for some reason. Maybe it was just one of those nights when your thoughts run wild, or maybe it was something else. The guy got up from bed and went over to his window. Looking out into the darkness, he saw that all the streetlights were working normally, but the light from one of the houses across the street suddenly went out. It was an old house that had been empty for a long time. Nobody lived there, although rumors persisted that some homeless people occasionally stayed there. When Jamie looked away from the window, he noticed something strange. He could have sworn he saw a pair of glowing red eyes staring at him from the corner of the room. At first, the young man thought that it was some kind of trick of the light, or a figment of his imagination. After all, how could anyone stare at him from the corner when the room was completely dark? But then the eyes began to glow brighter and brighter, until they became almost unearthly. Jamie called out, asking who was there. In response, he heard what sounded like a low growl, and then the glowing eyes disappeared. Of course, Jamie didn't believe in ghosts, so he decided that he was probably just going crazy. He lay back down and tried to sleep, but the rest of the night passed without incident. In the morning after, Jamie told his family about what he had seen. They didn't take his story seriously and only laughed at him. Well, his mom said that she would cast out the evil spirits that had entered her son and advised him to go to church, but Jamie refused to go. He still couldn't understand what exactly he had seen that night. That same night, Jamie was lying in bed trying to sleep again, but now he kept one eye open. He knew very well that he wasn't going to get any sleep like this, but he still preferred to be vigilant rather than defenseless. Soon enough, the same thing happened again. A pair of eerie red eyes appeared in the corner of the room and began to glow brightly. Then a huge black creature with sharp claws and teeth slowly emerged from the darkness. Its eyes were glowing red, and its appearance reminded Jamie of a large cat, except that it looked more ferocious and scarier. And then the monster spoke in a voice that sounded like stones grinding together. "Who are you? What do you want?" The monster seemed to emerge from nowhere and was gone in an instant. Jamie screamed at the top of his lungs. His cry woke up his whole family. They came running into his room, but they didn't see anything unusual. When the first rays of sunlight hit the floor, the monster disappeared altogether. After such an incident, Jamie's attempts to sleep ended in failure. Every night before bedtime, the creature came to watch him, and every morning it vanished with the first rays of sun. It happened for several weeks, until one day Jamie decided to fight back. He remembered how the monster hid in the corner of the room every time, so he bought a strong flashlight to illuminate that spot. That night, he was ready. As soon as the monster appeared, Jamie turned on the light. The creature let out a deafening roar and ran away. From that moment on, the monster no longer approached Jamie's bed, but it still spent the whole night outside his window, scratching and growling menacingly. Sometimes the creature broke into the house through an open window and attacked Jamie. Of course, it did all of this intangibly, so no physical harm came to the guy. But sometimes these attacks were pretty painful. For example, once the monster pressed its icy paws on Jamie's chest, and another time it scratched his face with its claws, leaving deep scars on it. Meanwhile, the locals were buzzing with rumors. Many people claimed that Jamie was just making up stories about the monster, while others argued that the young man was actually having a hard time dealing with the evil entity on his own. In the end, Jamie's relatives decided to intervene. One night, his uncle came to visit, and when the monster approached the bed, the man grabbed it by the scruff of its neck and pulled it out into the moonlight. "Get away from my nephew!" he shouted at the creature, but it just hissed and disappeared into thin air. The next night, Jamie's dad came to visit. When the monster appeared, the man grabbed it by the tail and tried to drag it away. But the creature scratched his hand, and his blood immediately began to boil. When the sun rose, his hand was covered in severe blisters, and by the afternoon, it was already peeling off. Then Jamie's family realized that they were dealing with a real monster, and not just some kind of animal. It had been tormenting their family for many years, and now it was taking its revenge on them for disturbing its peace. Jamie's relatives left him alone. No one wanted to risk being maimed or even dying just to help the young man get rid of the monster. Jamie felt abandoned. Moreover, the monster continued to attack him, even during the day. All the guy's waking hours were spent hiding under blankets and sleeping pills. He was exhausted, emaciated, and looked like a real skeleton. And one night, the monster decided to finish him off. It jumped onto Jamie's bed, growling menacingly, and pressed its claws against his throat. At that moment, the guy remembered that he had a lighter in his bedside table, the one that used to shine in the corner. He grabbed it, and as soon as the monster leaned closer, he stuck the lighter in its face. The creature screamed and fell to the floor, shrieking and writhing in agony. It kept screaming for a long time, and when the first rays of sunlight finally touched the monster, it disappeared. And in the morning, Jamie found a small pearl on the floor. From that day on, the monster never bothered him again. Sometime later, Jamie learned that the house across the street where the monster used to come from belonged to a woman who had died 100 years ago. People said that she loved to watch her neighbors, and now her soul was forever stuck between the worlds, watching people and feeding on their energy. But now she was finally gone, and Jamie could sleep peacefully.